Sharpening your own knives may seem intimidating, but it's a cost-effective way to take what could be trash, your dull knives, and turn it into treasure, a brand new set. Manual and electric knife sharpeners are easier to use than sharpening stones, and the best ones are quick and versatile. After testing 11 sharpeners, and slicing through 10 pounds of tomatoes, we think the Chef's Choice Trizor 15 is the best for home cooks. It gently puts a razor edge on dulled knives of almost every sort, Japanese and German style, stamped and forged, cheap and expensive. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Chef's Choice Trizor 15. The Chef's Choice Trizor 15, an electric sharpener, produced the keenest and most consistent edges of all the knife sharpeners we tested. And it did so more quickly and reliably than any other sharpener. Because of the design, it's virtually impossible to make a mistake, even if you've never used a knife sharpener before. It repeatedly brought both of our test knives, one of them a $30 German workhorse, the other a $150 Japanese thoroughbred, back from dead dull to razor sharp. Its comprehensive instruction manual explains each step clearly, and its notably sturdy construction suggests that you can expect many years of performance. Above all, the Trizor 15 is our pick because of its ability to dependably return badly dulled knives to an extremely sharp edge. Even after we destroyed the knive's edges with sandpaper, the Trizor 15 repeatedly sharpened both the inexpensive, stamped steel Wüsthof and the pricey, forged steel Mac back to factory new condition, despite their being made of different alloys and having different blade geometry. Note, 15 stands for 15 degrees, the final angle at which the Trizor 15 sharpens. Trizor refers to the three progressive facets, rough, medium, and fine, created by the machine's three sharpening wheels. The Trizor 15's owner's manual is another of this sharpener's strong points. Once you've used any decent sharpener a few times, you've got the hang of it, but the Trizor's detailed manual helps minimize mistakes from the get-go. By contrast, the manuals from Worksharp Culinary, for all four models we tested, are more basic and would benefit from additional detail. Finally, the build quality of the Trizor 15 stands out. It's a heavy, sturdy piece of equipment, weighing 4 pounds, 2 ounces, and equipped with a 125-watt, 2.1 amp motor. The Worksharp E3 feels lightweight in comparison, at 1 pound, 10 ounces, with an 8.5-watt, 0.7 amp motor. Our 2016 test model Trizor 15 has stood up to years of use in the wire cutter kitchen, and after our formal tests of the 2019 unit were finished, we used it to sharpen more than a dozen staffers' knives, running it for up to 30 minutes at a time. It's not cheap, but if you spend a lot of time using your knives in the kitchen, we believe it's a worthwhile investment. Note, the third stage, stropping forward/polishing discs will, by design, eventually clog with metal debris from knives. They can be resurfaced with an included mechanism or replaced entirely. Number 2. Worksharp Culinary E2 Electric Kitchen Knife Sharpener. If your knife use situation is undemanding, if you don't cook a ton, don't have a lot of knives, or just don't need the absolute best sharpener, we recommend the relatively inexpensive, electrically powered Worksharp Culinary E2 Electric Kitchen Knife Sharpener. It's not nearly as powerful as the Trizor 15, and not nearly as fast. But it produces a very good edge, one that's notably better than those produced by other similarly priced sharpeners we tested. The soda can-sized E2, the smallest and simplest of Worksharp Culinary models, uses flexible abrasive discs to sharpen knives, and it has a manual hone that employs smooth ceramic wheels to polish the blade's edge. Like its big brother, the Worksharp E5 NH, see the competition, the E2 lacks the Trizor 15's spring-loaded guides in the sharpening slots, so you have to keep the knife aligned yourself. But the simple design of the E2's sharpening slots makes this fairly easy. Their sides are parallel, and the gap between them is small, so you really can't badly misalign the blade. The sides of the E5 NHS slots are non-parallel, and the gap between them is wider, so it's fairly easy to get the alignment wrong or to wiggle the blade while sharpening. The E2 suffers from one irritating shortcoming. It has a built-in timer that shuts it off after 50 seconds of sharpening, 40 seconds on the fast, reshape, speed, 10 on the slow, sharpen, speed. This is meant to keep you from over-sharpening, but in practice it's not enough time to resharpen even a small paring knife, and not nearly enough to reshape a very dull chef's knife. And so you wind up repeatedly turning the machine back on, cycle after cycle, until your knife is sharp. It took us about 10 minutes and 50 pulls through the E2S abrasive wheels, 25 pulls of 8 seconds each per blade side, plus the time it took to check and reset the blade between pulls, to get a good edge from a sandpaper-destroyed one. For a blade that was dulled by normal kitchen use, we found 10 to 14 pulls, or a total of 3 to 5 minutes, to be sufficient. Number 3. Idahone Fine Ceramic Sharpening Rod. As we explained above, a honing rod won't sharpen your knife, but it will help keep the edge keen between sharpenings, so we think it's good for most cooks to have around. After testing 9 honing rods, both steel and ceramic, we think the Idahone Fine Ceramic Sharpening Rod, 12 inches, is the best for most kitchens. It rapidly restored the edges of all the knives we tested, yet it was gentler on blades than the other rods we tested. It also removed less material from the blades than its competitors, something that will help to prolong a knife's working life. We used all of the honing rods on multiple knives, including our top pick for chef's knives. To dull them between tests, we repeatedly sawed through 1-inch thick hemp rope, a classic challenge used by knife makers to demonstrate their blades' durability. We focused on 12-inch rods over 10 or 8-inch models because a longer rod is more versatile and easier to use. It offers more room to sweep the length of a standard 8 or 10-inch chef's knife, and anything smaller. We gravitated toward the ceramic rods. They all brought the edges of both the vintage Vesthof, which is made of relatively soft steel, and the modern Mac, which is made of hard steel, back to a keen edge. And they provided a very slight friction when honing, which made it easy to sweep the blades in smooth strokes, as you're supposed to. By contrast, the steel hones felt slick, the blade wanted to slip over instead of slide against the hone, and tended to chip hard. Modern blades